I'm Scott Allen Miller. It is the 4th of July, 2022. This is my vlog of daily life in Central America. Thanks for joining me, and I am recording this tomorrow because you'll find out in a second why I couldn't record it today. Of course, if you've been watching the show, you know why. So I am actually recording this as I take a brief walk through San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua on the southwestern coast, not very far from Costa Rica, because Brian Watson, who some of you know from the show, he's been around in our circle of people for 12 or 14 years. He is flying down tomorrow early in the morning to Costa Rica and catching a ride up here to San Juan, meeting me here, and then we're going to be touring Nicaragua and hopefully Costa Rica coming up in the incredibly near future. Okay, so that's tomorrow. Today is pretty exciting. First of all, I really want to thank everybody. It was just after midnight, long after I recorded yesterday's video, we hit 1,000 subscribers. That is amazing. I have no idea why people are coming to the channel like this, but I am so thankful for all of you. Very humbled that you guys are joining me here on the channel. This is truly crazy and so much appreciated. Wow. So that happened late last night. I was up until about 10 o'clock. We got Valentina off into her Uber to go out to Guatemala City. Yvonne went out for dinner. She went out to find some amazing, she says, ramen at like that's ranked the best one in Guatemala or something. And she was just like, this is so good. It was, you really missed it. But I was busy and not hungry and don't want to eat before the long bus ride today. So I just worked on uploading things last night. And some of you, if you know my Flickr feed, if you don't, you should go check it out. It's flickr.com/sheepguardingllama, and that guy definitely recognized me. And you can see some of my famous pictures are Rachel standing in front of this. Okay, so Yvonne got back, I did a bunch of uploads, and then about 10 o'clock we tried to go to bed. Yvonne's like, I'm not even trying, I'm just reading a book, not gonna try to sleep, because if I fall asleep, I'm screwed. And I'm like, I can't get enough sleep to feel good. So I went to bed, she stayed up and read. I then got up at 1:15 this morning. She was fast asleep, so it's a good thing I got up. But it turns out, she told me we were getting picked up at 2, but it turns out we were really getting picked up at 2:30, and there had been a misunderstanding. She thought I was telling her it was 2. I was asking her if I was correct in that she had told me 2. I was correct that she had told me 2. She never updated me that they had changed it to 2:30. Originally, it was 2 o'clock and we had to go to their offices, but then it was 2:30 and they were picking us up at the hotel. So I was up extra early. Definitely could have slept some more. Probably should have, but got up, showered, packed, lots of time to get ready, went out and had some coffee. By about 2 o'clock in the morning, they were making coffee. And this is definitely a new restaurant that I've not seen before. This is Hooks and Cook. Interesting. San Juan del Sur changes really quickly, and so there's constantly new things to see. If you come here only every so often, and I come here like every 6 months, I think is kind of my pattern. And so at 6 months, you are definitely coming here enough to constantly have new things with every time. New restaurants, new bars, new decorations in town. I'm walking towards one. I'm hoping I can make it up there so I can show it. That has changed completely since last time I was here. Now, last time I was here, T.O. Milton's was there, but that's a new thing and pretty hopping. So you just never know what you're going to find in this town. But I'm constantly amazed by how much people say that there's development here, and then when you come here, everything's so run down. Like, there's just so much not development happening that even just the amount you would expect is very low, let alone the hype that everybody gives it. I mean, there is certainly a lot here compared to other places, but you know, as someone who lives in Nicaragua, I'm always actually shocked by how little there is here, right? Like, for all the hype, it should have a whole lot more going on. Okay, so up, got coffee. Yvonne got up much closer to 2:30. We just sat in the lobby, and the party that was going on last night when Valentina left was still going on in the hotel next door the next morning. It was hopping. It was the only thing in town, because remember, Antigua, which is where we are, is just the sleepiest place ever. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you a little bit. This is the fairly new AM/PM. This was not here in 2019 when Rachel and Alan came down. And this is the main street in the backside of town. There's some cool hotels there, and this place has been updated a bit here on the corner, and it's looking really nice. And I'm just going to kind of point this away as I walk up the street a little bit, because there really isn't as much video of San Juan as you would hope. One thing, there are so many travel places. It's like you come to San Juan and everyone spends their time arranging how to leave, which I can't figure out. Like, there is a lot that you can only get here. Like, take your time and enjoy it, but everyone's just scheduling a trip somewhere else. Anyway, the bus picked us up at about 2:45 and we were on our way. So that is really, really early in the morning, which I shouldn't have to tell you, but it is, and it was exhausting. We got on the bus, and so we had many hours, again, of Guatemala in the dark. So this kind of sucks that we had to do both when we arrived and now that we are leaving, just hours and hours of Guatemala in the south in the dark. So we never got to see these huge swaths of it that we drove through twice. But when we got to the Salvadoran border, the sun was coming up and we got a beautiful drive through all of El Salvador, which is great because so much of that was in the dark last time. We got to see all of it in the light this time. And we only had 6 people on our bus on this particular trip, so we had a lot more space. It was very comfortable. We didn't have to use the roof rack, which is great. When you use the roof rack, you're terrified that all your stuff is going to blow away or get wet or just whatever. And when it's in the back of the van, life is very easy. You just, you know it's all there, and if you need to get to it, you can. So everything was very handy as far as that went. And we picked up new people in El Salvador, which we did not do last time, so we actually stopped in El Tunco, and really our day was just really easy on the bus. Having done it once already, it made it so relaxing this time. Knew to expect it was going to be about 21 hours, knew where we were going to stop, knew the logistics of it, knew we could ask for bathrooms or go wherever we needed to go to be able to do things. And it just made it really, really nice and easy. So I felt good on the whole 21-hour bus ride. Got to southern El Salvador, and we did stop and get pupusas, which we weren't able to do last time because of the rain. So that was really cool because we actually stopped and got them from a real street place, and they were fantastic. I got a bunch so I could take some home for Dominica, and of course they're 50 cents each, so you can buy a lot, right? And 2 is certainly a meal. Now hold on, I'm at the top of San Juan del Sur, and I want to show this new, because this was not here when we were here with Alan and Anna 6 months ago. So this is all brand new right here, this new Welcome to San Juan del Sur Turtle Park thing. There was always kind of a circle-ish thing in the road here, like right across from the Uno. So the Uno kind of demarcates the beginning of town more or less. And but this park was always just a thing to drive around in the road. Now it looks really nice and is very welcoming. So I like that. That's a cool addition. I'm gonna wait for the traffic here, and then I'm gonna cross over so I can get a little bit more of town for you guys. There we go. Not a lot of traffic. I'm really surprised by just how slow San Juan del Sur is right at the moment. I realize this is the super slow season, and coming from Las Piñas where there is nothing going on, I should expect that there's very little going on here, but it's still slower than I expected. Of course, San Juan del Sur never drops to 0, because if it did, people would make a big effort to come down and fill up the vacancies. But so overall, it was just a great day on the bus, very relaxing. I love taking the Ashimchi bus. I'm going to do that a lot in the future, and including that's who I'm taking tomorrow for the ride down here to San Juan del Sur. So I'm definitely putting them through their paces to see what all they can do for me. We made it. The only border crossing that was any problem at all was our crossing into Nicaragua, and we know that that one is going to take a lot more work. It always does. They have a much tighter security process than the other countries, and a much slower process, partially because so much is done on paper. So with all the other stops, pretty much none of them were more than, say, 15 minutes, and some were just 2 or 3. When we got to Nicaragua, we had to get out, and everyone's like, oh, this is so easy. It's moving so fast. Nope. Not at all. We were there for more than 3 hours, and I actually got pulled into the interrogation room. So 4 border control guards actually pulled me aside to do interrogation, and we sat there and talked, and they asked me a lot of questions and everything. And this is actually pretty funny. So they asked me a bunch of things, and I think they were feeling pretty confident. And then a guy who speaks English a little came out and he said, "Are you a vlogger?" And I get a smile, and I'm like, yes, do you watch my show? And he kind of looks at me and he tries to act grumpy, and he goes, yes. It was just really funny. So then they asked me some questions about that, but like he actually watches the show, so he was answering questions about it. He's like, oh yeah, it's this and that and whatever. So that was pretty cool. So this, I had noticed this online, but Dale Place has moved and is now over here. I was not expecting to walk past it over here. I guess I didn't really realize where it had moved to. Interesting. That's it feels like a worse location, but their other place was really tight. So even though it was in a good spot for like visibility, I guess they're pretty well known, and they don't really need the visibility as much as they need space. So, and maybe it's cheaper over here. I don't know. I guess that makes sense. I mean, they're still in the 16, so they're very accessible. And this right here is the bus to Rivas with no one on it. So that was really cool that Border Control actually knew my vlog and knew who I was. And it's funny because getting recognized tomorrow on the bus, I'll be in Granada, and Nika Dreaming, that some of you have seen comment on the channel here, identified me on the street as I was walking around Granada on the way to San Juan. I was standing outside just waiting for the bus. You know, the bus stops for a few minutes, you get out and stretch or whatever. And I did that, and suddenly he walks up to me and he's like, "Oh, that's loud." And suddenly he's like, "Are you still doing your videos?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm Nika Dreaming. I watch your show." Oh, I gotta wait till this guy goes by. Okay, he passed by. So I want to show this place real quickly. I'm going to show first so you can kind of see where I am on the street. I haven't moved since last time. So a year and a half ago or more, when Paul and I came down here with Melvin, this is actually the spot. They had no signs back then. Now it's like a real business. So we stopped by this place and got raspados, and we also got, which were amazing, they're by far the best ones I've ever had, and we also got nacatamales. They were making nacatamales while we were there, and so we got to see the process and everything, and learned about those. But that was like, you had to know to like knock on the door and go in, and now they're advertising as a thing. So that's pretty cool. And that was pretty much our day. Like, we were just on the bus all day, so I don't have a lot to tell you about the day. It was just, you know, the long bus rides are a little bit exhausting, but I'm really happy with the process, and I'm going to use this a lot now because it really does work well, and once you know it, it makes it that much easier. So when I got back, I actually got, the bus was going to drop me off at the house, because they'll do that, and they're picking me up at the house tomorrow. So that makes life really easy, but Yvonne was getting picked up by Leo to take her to the beach because she was heading home, obviously, but I didn't realize it. So when I saw Leo, I jumped out and I'm like, "Oh, Leo, take me to the house real quickly." So I got to the house earlier, and it turns out that when we got out of Nicaragua immigration, the bus driver gave the wrong passports to the two Americans, me and one other person, and so I didn't know it yet because it had my papers in it, just not my passport. A little bit of a mess. So we had to run around later in the night, and it was just a long bit of, he had let the hotel know they couldn't find me for a little bit, and then when they found me, he had gone to get food. We weren't able to make connections for a little while, so that was kind of bad. This is where, I'm just gonna show. So I'm standing at El Sosal. This is where Dali Place used to be, and it is definitely gone. It is not there anymore. It used to have the balcony overlooking, so that's like a house now. Really, really weird that completely disappeared. Wow. I can't quite figure out the business model that made that make sense to no longer be a famous restaurant. Nicaragua, you just never know. So I was actually up until about 11:30 running around in the streets. I had to run over to Poco a Poco. After Leo had run around and wasn't able to find him, I ran. I'm gonna spin around. There's a lot of stuff going on. I ran, this is one of the main roads. You can see all the people out eating and everything. Leo wasn't able to get there, so I ran on foot to Poco a Poco and got my passport back. No big deal. It was just a little bit of a panic for sure. Definitely a panic feeling, and running around to get it back because I'm leaving early in the morning and need it for tomorrow. So it's not the kind of thing that you want to be without. So I'm very glad that we did that, and all is well. So it was pushing midnight. Actually, it was a little bit later, 12:30 by the time I got back into the house, had my passport, got everything packed, watched a little bit of YouTube, just watched some camera conspiracies to wind down while I was packing, and got everything lined up for tomorrow. So all I have to do is wake up, grab my bags, and head on out the door. And then I will be on my way to San Juan del Sur tomorrow for one night where we're gonna just chill with Brian Watson. And then this is Restaurant El Timon, one of probably the most famous restaurant in town. And then also the big bar that all the Americans know, Henry's Iguana. This is actually a friend of mine's dad's friend's place, completely by coincidence. A friend from Texas who has no connection to Nicaragua whatsoever. And yeah, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow along for more of our adventures in Central America, our adventures as we're going through more of Nicaragua in the coming days. And I will see all of you tomorrow.